Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Eastern Alliance Era 2 Premium Heavy Tank, the Object 272M. If you do like the video as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Object 272M. It is a premium version of the T10B, and the difference is it's slightly better in quite a few ways. And it has ATGMs on its multi-weapon system. If you like playing the T10B, you'll probably like this vehicle. If you don't like the T10B, like me, you will not like this vehicle. I don't think this vehicle is that good. It's not terrible. I don't think the T10B is very good at all. I actually don't think this is terrible like that vehicle. You can do stuff because your ATMs can hit quite hard. Your main cannon isn't actually that bad. The mobility's alright, but it's absolutely made of paper. Everything pens it really, really easily. ATGMs that hit it anywhere in this section generally blow the lid off. And the gun, even though actually statistically the gun is very, very good, it likes missing shots left, right, and centre. And also the ATGMs are very, very slow. Very, very slow as well. So on the whole, I just don't think it's that great of a tank. And if you want the experience of what it's like to play this thing, but without the ATGM, just get it for free from the tech tree. But yeah, it is what it is. Like I say, I don't think it's the most fun tank in the universe for me, but then I'm slightly biased in that regard in the fact that I just really don't like the T10B, and this feels like a slightly upgraded version that's got a bit more pack a punch out the ATGMs, but generally is just meh. Right, it's one of those. So, let's get into the statistics of the Object 272M. So, you've got a 51.5 km/h top speed, 20 km/h reverse speed, 750 horsepower engine, which is 14.72 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you generally get towards that 51 km/h top speed, and when you start to run powertrain, traction system, etc., you get up to 60 km/h fairly easily. And because your ground resistances are fantastic, they don't hold the tank back whatsoever, just like every tank in Cold War, yeah, you'll get there generally. You've got a 15% internal fire chance, which is in the middle of fire chances, which means it does like getting set on fire if you get shot in the engine, but it's a very Soviet problem. If you get shot in that back end, shot in that back end, well played, brain. Yeah, if you get shot in that back end, it generally likes getting lit on fire, and that's my experience of it, but it doesn't get set on fire any other way. It's more ammo-racked than set on fire, but there we go. 38 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed is pretty quick for its turning rate on its tracks, which is nice. And it's got 38 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which is exactly the same. So you know me, we're going to help that turret traverse out so it's faster than the tracks. Camo, you don't really care about camo because it's more of a heavy tank. 490 meters of view range is good enough to spot for yourself quite easily in this vehicle, just like a lot of the Cold War tanks, and you'll get the view range up quite high with just food and stuff like that. 0.82 accuracy during rotation with a 1.39 accuracy during movement as a pair are fantastic without any help whatsoever. So there's no food, no gun perks, no gun stabilizer. As a pair, that's actually really, really good. And it means the aim circle doesn't bloom out much at all. And you've got a 2.10 second aim time as well, or a 2.1 second aim time, which is not that bad. And when you get all three gun perks on it, and vents and food, the accuracy during rotation and movement is actually really, really good. And it means that you don't need to actually run the gun stabilizer on this vehicle because the aim circle is pretty much always fully aimed in. You've got 5 degrees of gun depression, which is very Soviet, very limiting on a ridgeline, and can be a royal pain for this vehicle, like you'd expect from every Soviet-esque vehicle. 0.27 accuracy at 100 meters is really accurate, and once you get the gun perks on it and vents and food and stuff, again, generally, this vehicle is extremely accurate in terms of statistics, and it's one of those, again, that's very similar to a lot of tanks in Cold War, where you sit there going, you've got 0.23, 0.24 accuracy at 100 meters, yet you still miss all these shots. Why? Statistically, you shouldn't miss these shots, but you do. Thanks, RNG, I hate you, you know? 8.6 second reload with 3.7k, nearly 3.8k DPM is pretty decent, with a 401 pen on the standard AP rounds, or sorry, standard APDS rounds, sorry, 520 pen on the premium heat rounds, and 120 pen on the HE. The HE has 680 alpha, the standard and premium have 540. Now, I never take the heat rounds, ever, never use them, so I only ever have the 401 pen AP and the 120 HE. The HE is decent for splashing things, and especially the lightly armoured vehicles, you can splash them, or you can pen them for that 680 alpha, but you've really got to pick and choose your targets to be able to hit with this HE. And it's 1620 meters a second shell velocity on that standard APDS round, which is very, very good. It means you don't have to give too much lead at distance to be able to hit your targets with this 272M. The 885 meters a second shell velocity on the HE, though, is pretty slow, And so that's something you've got to be careful of, that if you load the HE, you're going to have to give a lot more lead to be able to hit your shots, and the shells will feel a bit loopy at times because of the fact that it's just so much worse than the APDS rounds. You've got the dual launcher ATGMs as well, which is a 24-second reload for that clip, and they do 800 damage for 520 pen, so they can pen quite a lot of the vehicles in Era 2, and they do 800 damage if you do pen them. Minimum arming distance is 100 meters, and the shell speed at max is 130 meters a second, which is so slow. They are so slow in terms of the ATGMs, which makes them a royal pain to use at distance, and then they're the type of ATGMs that feel a lot better to use at close range, but then it's a bit of a pain again because you've only got 100 meter minimum arming distance, which, yeah, makes it a bit awkward to actually use these ATGMs properly. You got 155% silver bonus, which is pretty decent for an Era 2 premium, which means this tank does make pretty good silver, though. And especially since you don't actually fire any premium, because you don't take the heat rounds and there is no premium ATGM, yeah, this vehicle makes really, really nice silver, which is good for the Object 272M, and is always nice to have on a premium tank. So let's have a look at the modules of the vehicle, and as you can see, that's where the engine block is. Like I say, if you get shot in this back end, it just tends to set you on fire, so you do have to be careful of that in the 272M. That's where the ammo racks are, and this is why I say this thing gets its lid blown all of the time. If an ATGM hits you here, lid's gone. If your ATGM hits you there, lid's gone. ATGMs hit you here, it's gone. Trust me, this thing gets ammo racked all the time, and it's a royal pain, and it's because of the proliferation of ammo racks all over the hull area here. And as you know, Era 2 is quite prevalent with ATGMs, and yeah, that means this thing likes to lose its head, which is a sad time for it. And that's where the crew sits in the 272M as well. And in terms of the armour, like I say, it has got armour, but generally for Era 2 and the penetration ranges that are going off in Era 2, this thing gets penned by pretty much everything. And because it's got angles, and that's the thing, you do have angles, that equates to something like, I'll always say, Batchat armour, right? Batchat's got no armour, but it's got angles, which means you do bounce shots off a Batchat or an Ignis. And you sit there going, oh, I bounced that? That's what it's like on this. Now, obviously, this has more armour than a Batchat, so you are more likely to bounce things than that, and it has angles, which means you can bounce things, but do not expect this thing to be a brawling heavy tank that will bounce shots everywhere, because it won't do it. It will get just paper penned by absolutely everything, which is a sad time for the 272M. The only good thing that you can say about it is the fact that the upper plate probably won't get penned by the higher pen HEs, unless they're catching your shots into the pike nose like that, or shots straight into this lower plate as well, where the higher pen HEs will also pen you as well. So yeah, there is that for that the 272M. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment for it? Well, let's get Charlie the Unicorn back into the 272M. And with the crew that I run, I do run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, 6 cents. I've mucked up the order. Yeah, I'm throwing myself off with the order I've put in. Born Leader, Rapid Reload, with the 6 cents. Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Snapshot, Deadeye, Rapid Aim, and Track Mechanic. Track Mechanics get the tracks back on quicker if I get them blown off, and trust me, they get knocked off all the time. And if I've already used the repair kit, it's nice to be able to get the tracks back on faster with Track Mechanics, so I can get back around the corner, especially if I see there's an ATGM flying towards me. Rapid Aim to get the turret traverse better than the tracks, because as you know me, I like my turret traverse being faster than my tracks, so that's why I run it like that way. If you're not bothered, you could definitely drop Deadeye for clutch braking to make it feel even more agile on its tracks, for sure. That is a personal preference thing. All 3 gun perks to make sure that this gun is as good as possible, and so that I don't actually have to run the gun stabilizer. And if I do run all 3 of these perks, I don't have to run the gun stabilizer, and that's a nice thing for the tank indeed. And like I say, Deadeye for the memes, to increase my chance of doing module damage by 6% with my main round. That's why I do it. Increase the chance of ammo racks or fires, that sort of thing. Who knows if it works, but just memes. I would more likely recommend you just take clutch braking, but yeah, I prefer the turret traverse being faster than the tracks, so I don't run clutch braking. And especially since I'm going to be running the traction system, as you're going to see, yeah, I want to keep the turret traverse faster than the tracks. So we run food, naturally, because food makes so much about the tank that much better, and it's always a must-take for general vehicles, unless you're going to run smoke instead. But for this kind of tank, it's definitely food to be able to get the accuracy, the DPM, all that good stuff better. We're going to run the traction system, like I say, to get the better top speed so we can go faster, have that slightly better track traverse. The powertrain, again, for that extra oomph in the engine to help it get to its top speed, but not just that. for the top speed as well to increase, so we've got both increasing the top speed, and vents just to help the reload and everything about the tank in general be better. Because like I said, I don't really need the gun stabilizer. The accuracy during rotation and movement is that good. You don't need it. The aim circle is very, very small already, and when you put the gun stabilizer on, you don't notice that much of a difference. And it's nice to put vents on it for that. It's a bit odd, this vehicle, the fact that it doesn't get to run the advanced loader, the gun rammer, because it's a single shot gun. I know it's got an ATGM clip on its multi-weapon system, but there's quite a few other vehicles that have that similar thing where they've got a clip-fired ATGM on its multi-weapon system, but it's still allowed to run an advanced loader. So I don't know why. I feel like that might be a bug or an oversight, something like that, but who knows. So I run vents just to get better reloads, accuracy, aim time, all that good stuff. You could, this is very interchangeable. You could change this up however you want it to. You could run the advanced armor and run armor angling instead of the Deadeye to get a 10% reduction in shots coming into your tank, or should I say 10% reduction of damage rolls of the shots that pen your tank. And trust me, shots hitting your tank will pen you, so that could be very, very handy indeed. If you feel like the gun handling is annoying you, you could just run the gun stabilizer, but like I said, I don't feel like I need it. I don't feel like you really do need it that much in general. You could try the reinforced ammo rack, but it's pure RNG, and I never really feel that that's worth taking because he's still in the hands of RNG. You could take optics if you wanted to increase the amount of spotting you're doing, or spore liner for ramming. You know, it's really down to you and how you want to kit out the vehicle. That's just how I feel like I get the best out of it. So let's get the statistics now. It's fully equipped, and as you can see, we've got 59.48 km/h top speed now, with a 23.22 km/h top reverse speed. 787.5 horsepower engine, because it's got better thanks to powertrain, with the 15.54 horsepower per ton ratio. So we have gained quite a bit of power to weight, which again helps this tank feel very, very nice in terms of its top speed and its mobility. 41.8 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed means this tank does turn pretty quickly on its track still, because we've helped it out with the traction system. 542 metres of view range is very, very good for the 272M. Again, it helps it spot for itself pretty easily. 47.35 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is a hell of a lot quicker than the tracks now, which is lovely for saying that they were both the same, and that's what I like and prefer myself. 0.54 accuracy during rotation, with the 1.1 or 1.11 accuracy during movement is very, 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 very good, and it means that the aim circle is barely blooms out whatsoever, which is why I say you don't really need the gun stabilizer, because you won't really feel it that badly because it's near enough always aimed in, and if you stop for that split second, all it takes is that 1.9 second aim time for it to aim in, and yeah, you're ready to go, which is very, very good aim time as well. 0.21 accuracy at 100 meters is extremely accurate, and that's why I sit there sometimes looking at this gun going, why did you miss that? Because 0.21 accuracy in World War II, for example, in World War II mode, would basically be pinpoint and hit every single shot that you've got fully aimed. This vehicle, for some reason, likes hitting the floor with that kind of accuracy, and you sit there going, but why? You know, what's one of those? But it's like that in Cold War anyway. But I digress. 6.79 second reload is 4.7, nearly 4.8 DPM, which is alright DPM. It's not fantastic DPM, but it's not bad. But added in the fact that you've got the ATGMs that go alongside it, and they've got an 18.96 second reload on the clip now. And that's why your DPM is a bit lower than some of the other vehicles in Era 2. Because you've got that pack-a-punch power of switching to multi-weapon system and dishing out these ATGMs, which obviously have very good module damage as well at 400 HP, which generally means that if you hit another Object 272M in the ammo rack with one of these ATGMs, the lid is popping. Yeah, generally. So, yeah, that's the Object 272M. Like I say, if you want to get the gist of how this thing kind of plays, you can just go get the T10B from the tech tree and you'll feel exactly the same tank. You just lack the ATGMs that the 272M does, but it does feel like an upgrade on the T10B. That's the way I'd put it, is this tank does feel better to play than the T10B, and it does feel like it's an upgraded version of said tank. But yeah, it's, how much is it in the store for this vehicle if we go to Cold War tanks? Yeah, it's 9,100, which isn't too bad, realistically, for an Era 2 Premium that makes pretty good silver. But yeah, when you can get the same experience for free from the tech tree, and then grind up a tech tree as well, it's one of those, right? But that's down to you and how you want to spend your money, realistically. I can't tell you how to do that. So, that's the Object 272M. What we're going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this tank in action and see how it handles and see if it's a bit of you or not. So as always, everybody, I'll see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the 272M, and this very first game is a fairly average game for the 272M here on Death Valley. And to be honest, I don't play it very well whatsoever. This was, like, I think the first game? I think it was the first or the second game I actually played in the tank, and I was still sitting there going, right, I just want to see how some of the stuff goes. So see how the gun handles at distance, the ATGMs as well, because when I looked at the statistics for the ATGMs especially, I was looking at them going, they don't look great, you know? Like, the velocity is 130, that's old school ATGM velocity, that's very, very slow. Pen's 520, that's alright. 800 damage, yeah, it's alright, ATGM. It was just more the velocity. 130 is, oof, that's slow. So I wanted to go into a position, and that's why I'm going over this way. I wanted to go into a position where I could test it all out and see how it goes at distance. And this position over here is the best for that at H9. And you can see with the first ATGM that we fired there to try and get into that BMP, it's slow going. It's slow going. They take a while to get to target. A wee while to get to target. And you sit there going, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, it missed. Because the target went, no, an ATGM, and got out of dodge. So the intraclip reload is one thing I didn't actually mention for this clip for the ATGM. And that is, it's actually got a 10-second intraclip reload. So when you fire the ATGM, you've got to wait 10 seconds, and then you'll get the next ATGM in. That guy, that was the perfect jump. How dare he jump over my shell like that? This ain't no Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Ay, ay, ay. So we're going to go into a position to try and get some shots into this BZT-70, because again, this is the perfect opportunity. Well, he was the perfect opportunity. The position he is in at F6 is where I went, okay, I can test out my ATGMs against this guy at distance, see how long it feels to get the shot in. You know, use my main cannon at distance. If I've got his side and stuff, this will be great. So we're just trying to get the gun depression, because like I say, 5 degrees gun depression is limiting. We fire the ATGM, switch to the main cannon. The ATGM sadly gets absorbed by his tracks. Thankfully, though, he doesn't end up penning us, and we bounce off his lower plate. I try and go for the side shot, which it does end up penning. We go for that side shot with the ATGM as well, and once again, it does track damage only. So we penned him with the side there with the main cannon, but the ATGM said no. We also got absolutely smashed by something in the distance with an ATGM. It felt like it came from that sort of direction, so that's where I'm trying to look for, but I don't quite see them. We try and get shot towards the 30B2 forad, but it ends up just dropping behind him there. I get the ATGM out with the multi-weapon system, but because of the gun depression problems we were suffering with the 272M there, we couldn't quite get the ATGM on target into those guys, and that was just a bit of the awkwardness of that gun depression. So we tried to get the next ATGM into the lower upper plate of the BZT-70 there, and it actually didn't go through. And I thought with 520 pen on the ATGM, we might even still go through the upper plate, especially at the angle we would have been hitting that, but sadly not. So we're still detected, which means there's something still out there with ATGMs that wants to say, hi, I'm friendly, and I go, no, you're not, leave me alone. You know, one of those moments. And we're constantly detected, which means whatever it is has perfect line of sight at us, and we're just trying to find an angle where I can get over to try and shoot these people down below, but also not get shot myself. So we know the BZT-70 is still out there, which there he is. He's still there. I was just looking to see if he was actually going to be driving out. But in fact, we've got side shots into the 30B2 and this, what looks like a T80, which, yes, we got a shot into the T80 there. But we end up getting slapped by whatever it was with the ATGMs again. It's Mr. Rickety Panzer, who's now being pressured by my heavy tank and light tank over there. We got fairly lucky that the T80 also didn't kill us, but yeah, there we go. I decided, okay, screw it, you know what? I'm going for the ATGM into the side of this BZT-70. We put the shot in, switch back to the main cannon, and the shot at the side of his turret / the upper hull ends up dropping so low, it does track damage only. And that's the kind of shot I'm on about with this gun on the 272M. Where you go, that's a dead to right shot that's going to pen that guy in the side, and it drops really low and misses. And you sit there going, but why? Why would you miss that? You know, but I think that's the thing in Cold War anyway, where you've got accuracies in terms of statistics that you know that if you were playing World War II mode, they would be deadly accurate and basically never miss. But in Cold War, they never feel like that accuracy, which is always weird. Always weird. But yeah, there we go. I digress yet again. So we're trying to get shots into this T55AM2B. That was a chance. That was never going to hit. That was just a poor shot, realistically. Fire the next ATGM towards the Rickety Panzer. He stops, which is perfect. And we'll eventually get there. Thankfully, we do get the kill on that guy. Payback! Gosh! You know, one of those moments. But you saw the ATGM speed. It's slow. It's very, very slow. There's only the one tank left on my team. It's the AM2B. And I didn't think I could actually get a shot at him because I couldn't see his outline. But yeah, we ended up not being able to get down the gun there to get a shot into and finish the game with the 1 kill, the 5.3k damage, the 3rd class, the Confederate with the medal for getting a kill at 600 meters plus with an ATGM, 122 base XP, or 1,222 base XP. And yeah, that was a fairly average game there for the 272M. Like I say, it wasn't the best played game in the universe. It was one of those games where I was just like, I'm just going to meme it and see if I can try these things. I don't care if I take a hit or not. So we were putting ourselves out in the breeze and we took some big hits and probably got fairly lucky, to be honest, that we didn't die, because we probably should have died, especially when the T-80 put a shot out towards us and it hit the dirt below us. Yeah. So we're on to this second replay. In this second replay, we're here on this map, which is Go Round Like a Donut Pass. And on Go Round Like a Donut Pass, we're doing the thing. We're going round like a donut because it's what we do on Go Round Like a Donut Pass. And so we've switched the ATGM, launch it straight into Mr. Conqueror, switch back to the main cannon, and put a shot through his lower plate. And that poor man is now getting machine gunned. But I thought he was going to die much faster, so I just sat here. And we end up taking a hit from that Conqueror. But we end up finishing him off. Tried to look for the second ATGM to force out towards the T-64B, but he ends up getting himself into cover behind that rock. So we're seeing the other medium that's on the right there. It's the AMX-30B2. I was just wondering if I could get a shot at him, but I can't quite see him. And yeah, we try and get the ATGM out, but again, sadly, he just gets himself behind the rock and we can't quite find that shot. I don't want to push too aggressively towards him yet, because I feel like there's still possibility that there could be more nasties knocking around. But with the fact that he's running away like that, that made me think, okay, there's nothing else here, clearly, as he's decided that there's no good staying in the position he was. So we're going to go pressure him, try and get some shots into his side, get some free damage, that sort of thing. So we're aiming for that back end, because there's a likelihood with the MX-30s that you set them on fire if you shoot them in that area. But we didn't set him on fire and he gets shut down by the T-64B. There's still 11 tanks left alive on the enemy team. There's quite a few that clearly have probably gone towards our cap. We ricochet a shot, and that's what I'm saying. You know, the armor's not great, but, you know, batchat type angles that occasionally get you some nice bounces. And we ended up bouncing the Object 120 there. I'm taking a wide berth so that I can actually use these ATGMs. I fire the ATGM. Well, this tank's ATGMs are very slow. Very slow, and as you saw, even at that close range there, the ATGM flew behind the Object 120 because it was fast enough going forward, and so we missed the shot. Sad times. But we did ram him for 800 odd, which we'll take. We're up to 3.5k damage, 664 assistance damage, and I'm trying to think, right, okay, where do I want to go next? Well, I want to get up after the medium tanks and the TD, because I feel like I was never going to get anywhere near the dude that just got murdered at G6. So I want to try and use the mobility of this vehicle, which, as you can see, we're going over flat. We're generally doing about 56, 57 in that area. We do have 59 kilometer an hour top speed with the build that we're running, but yeah, generally go between 56 to 59. You will hit it, as you're seeing here, but it's one of those things that occasionally, depending on the terrain you're going over, you might not quite reach that top speed. The ELC even SS-12 ends up ramming into us at speed, and it didn't kill him. I was shocked. That's why I end up not getting the shot into him there, because that's one of those where I went, aha, I've got you, you little pest. Pest control at your weight. He didn't die? What? Really, game? Why do you mock me? Well, the game mocks us all the time, but there was nothing new there, really. So they've got a guy that's capping. And we need to get back to reset, but I'm not quite sure if I can actually see the Bagel Panzer, and I'm not sure if I can actually see into the cap from this position that we're at right here. So you can see I'm trying to look for him, but can't actually see whatever it is that's in the cap. There's too much of a lip on the ridgeline over there, just covering it so that we can't see it. So we've got the ATGMs in because at the distance we are, we know there's only 2 tanks left, and one of them is capping. So with the ATGMs, at the distance we are, we should be able to see the whole cap because there is no real cover in the cap on this map. So we should be able to dish out that 800 damage and then switch back to the main cannon. So we find it's a T-72M1, which can be a bit awkward to pen with ATGM, so we're aiming for that lower plate. We fire the main gun, and that went somewhere. That went to the floor, and I sit there going, but why? 0.2 on accuracy game, you know, but why? So we put the shot into his lower plate there, finally, with the ATGM. It pens him. We pen him with the second shot there, aiming up the gun to make sure we're going to put the 401 pen round through the side. He's now a one-shot. Hopefully, maybe pick up the kill on this guy, but I'm not expecting it. But we actually do! Let's go. We get the second kill of the game, up to 6.2k damage with 664 assistance damage. And the cap's now safe, meaning there's only one tank left on the enemy team. It is the XM800T. And we have absolutely no idea where that guy is until we get spotted. And this is why you always need to be taking Sixth Sense. And the reason is, we get spotted. Which means we know that Sixth Sense gone off. We know he's in this general vicinity. He's somewhere here. And there we go, we find the XM800T. It's always very handy having Sixth Sense to be able to find the tanks that are really stealthy and really hard to find. Because you get spotted, you go, aha, they are here. So we're just trying to keep our eye on him in third person there. We notice that he's going down on the left-hand side of the rock. So we just stop, aim up, make sure we're going to take that kill cleanly, and we finish off the XM800T there with the victory. The 3 kills, 6.6k damage. Charlie the Unicorn carrying us to that victory with the second class, the Defender medal for 1418 base XP. Another decently average game there for the Objects 272M on Go Round Like a Donut Pass. And now we're on to the third replay, and this third replay we're here on this map, which is Kasserine! Hey! We got there in the end. Kasserine. So on Kasserine, what I want to do is go to the position at E7. Because from E7, I can get some early ATGMs out, although it's a bit of a pain with the 272M. As I've established, the shell velocity is so slow that it's a real pain to get shells out on people, especially that are moving. But they do have people that tend to camp on the ridgelines like G4, so the ATGM can be pretty handy for that, indeed. Also, this position is very, very good because we can get shots across the position that you're looking at now. If they progress aggressively up the AB line, I can also shoot them from this position and defend it as well from here, which is great. So we try and get a shot out towards the Bagel Panzer, but yet again, just how slow that ATGM is, it was a royal pain. We try and get the track and pen on the VTS-1 so that I could track him and then fire an ATGM out towards him. But yeah, the shot actually went high, which is... That hit the ridgeline? But yeah, okay. Yeah, the shot went high on the VTS-1, which is fine because it still went, we penned him, but instead of tracking him like I was aiming for, yeah, it ended up just doing damage, which, again, we'll take, but it's not what I was aiming for. We only tracked the 1A3, which I'm quite shocked about. I thought I might actually get a shot side there for the pen, but apparently not. I try and get a shot into the Bagel Panzer, but the shot goes wide left and ends up missing his turret. And that's where we notice that they are now pushing along the other flank. There's a T-80 over there. We fire it towards him, but with smoke being popped in front of where our painting target is, we end up with the ATGM just flying into a rock. Because obviously, when you're trying to paint your target with the ATGM guidance and someone pops smoke, it really mucks. Wait, it's the whole point. It mucks with it so you can't quite get that ATGM on target like you wanted to. So we do... Wow, that went wildly wide. Yeah, we do end up getting the ATGM into the side of the 2AV. This time, with it fully aimed and nicely led, we do finally get a shot into the side of him as well. They got a Leopard 1A3 up above that was down on our left-hand side earlier, but we can't quite find a shot at him as he's pulled back, and he's just going, you can shoot me, no you can't, yes you can, no you can't. He's doing that, which is always one of those frustrations. We finally get a shot into the Bagel Panzer we were trying to shoot earlier on. We dodge his ATGM, thank the Lord, because, well, those Bagel Panzer ATGMs hurt. They really, really hurt. And thankfully, yeah, we got out of the way of it. So I'm going to try and see if I can get better shots across the other side, because, yeah, I don't really want to take chance. I'm playing chicken with a Bagel Panzer, and you never really want to play a chicken with a Bagel Panzer, especially with the ATGMs, right? So we get a shot there into the T-55 AM2B that's in the distance. I fire the ATGM because I feel like he's going to drive out. Aim it towards his drive wheel, but it's so slow. It's so slow, and that meant that it hadn't actually got past that rock that we aimed at. So we end up missing the shot. But we do get the ATGM into Mr. FV4211 because I decide, okay, I'm going to attack the 4211. He damages the ammo rack. We repair it instantly so we don't get our lid popped. Go for the shot into that cupola, and, well, the cupola shots on the 4211 these days are really, really easy to pen, thank the Lord, compared to how it used to be. Pen him in the drive wheel, which tracks and pens him. waiting for the reload now so we can just finish off this FV4 2-on-1, which we do, securing our first kill of the game up to 5.3k damage, well, 5,369 giggity. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. So they've got 6 tanks left on the enemy team. 2 light tanks, 2 mediums, a tank destroyer, and a heavy. There goes one of the light tanks. It was the VTS-1. The Ignis Pagatio is behind us, and the other medium tank is also behind us. ELC, even SS-12, is in the distance with the heavy tank at H2 as well. We're not quite sure where the light tank is, sorry. But we're going to see if we can get some shots into this Ignis, which we managed to get a shot through his side. So what I want to do is get onto this little ledge over here so that I have shots towards the T-55 AM as well. It's not an AM2B, it's an AM. We fire the ATGM, and I'm not 100% sure why that stopped leading, because it was coming out of the sky. But I was still painting it on the T-55 AM, so I don't quite know why that stopped leading and stopped moving there, but sure. We ended up missing the shot on the T-55 AM. Gonna try and see if we can get some shots in to help these guys out with the T-72AV, and we've lost a lot of tanks very, very quickly. This game went from, it's a surefire win to, ooh, 4-2. That could be awkward, but thankfully the T-72AV has no hit points left. The Ignis Pagatio is the one that was left, and he was on about 600-700 HP, and we know he was over at DE7. So what we're going to do is go try and find this guy. Now I reckon he'll have run to go across the 9-0 line. So we just need to run through the gorge here on Kasserine to try and get up to, say, somewhere like H7 in that general area, because it's an Ignis Pagatio. It is a very, very fast vehicle. There's every single chance he has got away to that corner, say K0, very, very quickly, very, very easily. I mean, we're pretty mobile with that 59 kilometers an hour top speed, but we're not as fast as an Ignis. So we're just basically hedging our bets, trying to hope to find him. That's all we can do. So he gets spotted down at K5. There he is, 884 hit points. So we're just going to see if we can get close to him. I felt like he was going to run up the 1-2 line, but it actually looked like he was coming our way. So there he is. Thankfully, he is actually coming our way. Put the shot straight through the side of the Ignis Pagatio, finishing off the tank for our third kill. 6.8k damage. The victory, 1459 base XP with the 3 kills. Decent amount of silver as well, 208,000 silver without a silver booster with that first class. Really nice game there for the Object 272M on Kasserine. Which, yeah, I'll say this tank does make good silver. It is a nice silver earner in that regard because you don't have to fire any premium. You don't have a premium ATGM, you just have one ATGM. You don't fire heat because, well, the heat's pointless generally. And so it will make you decent silver, which is good. And especially if you're running a silver booster, you'll start making 400,000 or 500,000, right? In that regard, if you're having good games. But we're on to the fourth and final replay of this video. And we're here on this map, which is Safe Haven. And what I want to do on Safe Haven is try and side scrape off this little container over here, because I can try and get shots at people that come out around the corner where those containers are across the way. Because people do tend to come out that way. Thankfully, we only get tracked there by our opposition 272M, which is a bit lucky, but I think all he could actually see was my outside track. The other 272M ends up driving out. We put a shot through his upper plate. And I'm just going to sit and wait with my ATGMs and see if he decides. And it looks like he is. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Mr. 272M. He ends up driving out sideways on. We put the shot with the ATGM through his upper plate. And then tried to hit him with a shot to his upper plate again with the main gun. But he, or should I say, RNG said, absolutely not. You're just going to hit the turret front. Which we weren't really aimed at. So thanks for that, gun. We take a hit in the side, though, from the 272M that came around the other side. Don't text and drive, kids, by the way. I end up driving so much further out than I should do there, but that's because I was typing in someone's chat at the same time. Bloody awkward. So we end up putting a shot through his upper plate. I thought I might be able to finish him off with an ATGM, even at close range with the minimum arming distance, but it didn't quite work out like that. We ended up doing only 180 damage, so he was still alive, but he got shut down. We've now got the TR-580 in front of us, which is not a very good tank, and he's also been pressured by me and the Magak there. But he also gets shut down by an MX-13 SS11 TCA with an ATGM, which is sad times for him. We're up to 3.7k damage and 1418 assistance. I'm going to try and get... Oh, that was just a bad shot. That was just a bad shot. We tried to get a shot into the Leopard, which, yeah, bad shot. I'm trying to track and pen him, so I could drive around and ATGM him, but naturally we ended up tracking him just around the corner, so we couldn't quite get an ATGM at him. Got the T-72 AV, which I'm trying to back off. You can see me looking at that distance indicator below the reticle, trying to see if I can get over 100 meters away, and there we go. We put the ATGM into the back end of the AV. He gets shot down by the MX-30B2. And if you always want to work out how far away from a target you are, you can see the distance indicator below the reticle when you're aiming down the sight. So that FV4211 was 120 meters away. He's now less than 100 meters away, which meant that, yes, that doinked because we moved too close to him. I should have used that indicator a little bit better there, right? We're up to 6.1k damage with 1949 assistance damage, and so we know where a lot of the tanks are. A lot of their tanks left are at JK6, so we're going to go up on top of this ramp so we can get a shot into the side or rear of those vehicles that are over there. So we see one tank, he just gets himself behind the pillar, but we can't find a shot at him. Centurion 9, though, we ricochet off of his turret, which is a sad time, but we get the ATGM in, and I know I can take a hit from him, so I decided, okay, I'll chance it. Sadly, we bounce a 401 pen APDS round there off of the turret of that Centurion 9. We fire the ATGM, it goes up and down over the bridge and finishes him off, but because of how slow it was, we end up taking another shot from that Centurion 9, meaning we're now a one-shot for pretty much everything in this game. And you're seeing the auto changes in action here. I'm struggling to actually get snapped onto the Magak 3, which is the whole point of these auto aim changes. It's supposed to stop the RBRTs across 400 meters of snapshotting, which is prevalent in all eras and World War II. The whole point of the test is to try and limit the ability to do those RBRTs that easily. And the thing, if you're wondering why the auto-aim system doesn't feel quite right or feel like it normally does, it's because over 200 meters away you have to have the aim point directly over the target to be able to actually auto-aim onto the target. But there we go. By the way, you're seeing the gun in action right here. We've missed some shots that I sit there going, how did that miss? Really? Thank you. We're already up to 9.3 and nearly 9.4k damage. Bit of a bug there with the indicator for the ATGMs. That looked like it was going to get to target so much quicker than it did, but again, it was just a bit too slow. We get a bit lucky there that the TR-580 ends up missing us. The WZ-122-4 ends up driving sideways on. We put a shot through his side, and he gets machine gunned by the MX-30B2, leaving just the Sentinel left alive on the enemy team. And we've had a really nice game here on this map, which is probably the best game I've actually had in the tank as well, at 10.5k damage, 2.5k assistance. And like I said, it means that the tank isn't incapable. It's fully capable. It's a fairly balanced tank, to be fair. It's just one of those tanks that is not the greatest at anything it wants to do. The ATGMs are slow. The gun handling at times is a bit wonky, as you saw in the end game there as well. You sit there going, come on, gun, how are you missing these shots? The DPM's all right. The mobility's okay. It's just one of those vehicles you sit there going, yeah, you know, one of those. And like I say, you can get the same playstyle, the same tank basically for free from the tech tree, just without the ATGMs. Although this tank is a little bit of an upgrade on that tank, but yeah, you get the point. Same playstyle, basically the same tank. But yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.
A great success.